Today we're going to be talking about 12 myths about online dating and how they have been consciously or unconsciously stopping you from getting more dates, from getting better dates, and from finding the right girlfriend or life partner. The first one on my list says, I'm too old for online dating. And I can completely understand that. If you're 30, 40, 50, or even 60 years old, and maybe you've never tried online dating apps, maybe you've tried it but not successfully so, it can seem a little bit daunting. And obviously, if you try anything in life and it doesn't work, we naturally develop a degree of frustration towards it, and we tend to use any single one of those as an excuse to not keep putting ourselves out there, to not get hurt, to not get, all these little rejections, or at least we interpret them as rejections where it's just us not using the right strategies. I immediately have two statistics here. I believe they're from Statista, but I'm not 100% sure. So first one is 19% of people in the US between the age of 30 and 44 use Tinder. Now that's a Tinder statistic. That does not include Bumble, Match.com, or whatever other dating apps you may be using. There's another one, 8% of people in the US between the age of 45 and 54 are using Tinder. Again, that's not including the other apps. So if you're between 30 and 50, it's absolutely possible to get fantastic dates from dating apps. Now, the second reason that may have been preventing you from taking action is the thought or the idea that women who are using online dating apps are simply looking for hookups. And obviously, there's a percentage of women who just want something casual that is completely normal. But I can tell you from experience, from working with a global client base from 11 different countries, many clients from the US market, that there's a substantial amount of women who go to online dating apps with the stated purpose of finding a relationship. On Bumble, you can even say what you're looking for. There's 3 categories. There's don't know yet, relationships, or something casual. And there's a huge percentage of women who want something serious. So please don't let that stop you. Number 3, women only date the best looking guys. And again, while it's absolutely true that looks make it easier if you look like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, or that Italian actor from that Netflix documentary, This is the Train, 2 seconds. If you look like one of those guys, naturally enough, it's going to be easier for you to get matches and higher quality matches. But nonetheless, women definitely care about what you've written in your profile description and the way your pictures are and how you communicate via text. So just saying women only date the most amazing looking guys doesn't make sense at all, because how many of them really are there? 1 out of 20? 1 out of 30? Okay? What about all the other women? Okay? So simply practically speaking, that doesn't make any sense. I've had clients who are objectively not that amazing looking. Like, I'm not mega handsome either, maybe average, maybe a little bit better than average, but that's about it. Most of my clients are not amazingly looking, and they can find amazing girlfriends, life partners, and get fantastic dates from dating apps. The next one. It's a waste of time. A lot of people think that using online dating apps in the first place is a waste of time for some of the reasons we've obviously discussed, and because they just don't feel comfortable with it. They don't feel comfortable really going for it, taking pictures, putting themselves out there. Because it feels like they either get some matches, but then they're not able to get the date, or they're actually able to get the date, but they've made the experience that if you invite somebody from an online dating app to a date, that they're not able to meet them for a second date. Not understanding that what happens when she's actually willing to meet you for a date, then something's going wrong on the date. It's your communication skills, because she's done an evaluation of your physical appearance. She's done an evaluation of what you have in your profile description, which is hopefully effective. So if she doesn't want to meet you again for a second date, it's about the way you communicated on the date. It's not about there's something being inherently wrong with you. That's really important to understand. So, and also ask yourself, what else are you spending time on? Even if you're a computer scientist, a mechanical engineer, or a business owner, we all waste some amount of time, and investing 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 15 minutes per day in online dating apps, if it's going to get you, let's say, 1 or 2 more matches, even just 1 or 2 more matches, dates per week, and eventually an amazing and high quality relationship, isn't that worth it? Next one, I couldn't make it work for me, so it means it will never work for me. That's a thought that I've heard from many men that I've spoken to over the years. It's, oh, I've tried it, but I wasn't able to make it work. And if I haven't been able to make it work so far, then I'm probably never going to be able to make it work. We equate the past with the future. Please understand there's techniques and strategies that you can use to make it work. People from all over the world, all over the world have successfully done it, so you can do it as well. Next one, women are lying on their dating profile. And again, while there's a certain percentage of men and women who are lying, either through their photos because they present themselves in a completely different way than what they actually look like, or outright lying on their profile description regarding their jobs or whatever's going on in their life, the vast majority of people tend to be quite honest, okay? Let's say you're afraid of meeting somebody who might not fit your categories or your criteria, your qualification criteria for physical attractiveness. And you're a little bit worried. You've met some people, you've met some women from dating apps, and they absolutely did not look like what they looked like in real life. And that turns you off the idea of online dating apps. Yeah, well, you've met the wrong ones. If you had more options available and you knew how to screen the profile better, that wouldn't be happening. Next one. People who use online dating apps are desperate. Really? Is it desperate to want human contact? Is it desperate to want to have real-life interaction? Is it desperate, real-life interactions? Is it desperate to want to be in a relationship, to have somebody by your side, to cook food together, to watch Netflix together, to travel the world together? Or at least your country, given certain restrictions? Is that desperate? Really? I think it's absolutely intelligent. I think it's stupid to not use all the channels that are available to you to maximize the probability that you'll achieve your outcome. Not using all the channels that are available to you, like online dating apps, Facebook, Instagram, online speed dating events, meeting women in real life bars, nightclubs, shopping malls. That is stupid. People who say, oh, those people are desperate, they're negative. Why would you ever discourage somebody who's trying to better themselves, who's trying to achieve a better outcome, or is trying to improve their life circumstances drastically? People who try to discourage other people who are trying to make progress in their lives are either so negative, so deeply hurt inside, or they secretly don't want to lose them, because one of the psychological principles that's at play here is that if you're trying to better your life, if you're trying to find a girlfriend or a life partner, and then some of your buddies come around and say, only people who are using them are desperate, then they might just not want to lose you, because unconsciously they sense that if you were to be successful with it, you might end up spending less time with them. So they're not doing it because they're evil people, simply to meet their own need, simply because they want to stay your friends. It's the same thing in general personal development. Whenever you're making progress in your life, health, fitness, career, your own business, and some people talk down on you, well, there's two ways to build the greatest building in town. Either to build the greatest building or to tear everybody else down. Don't let those people get into your head. Again, I had a conversation with a client of mine the other day. He's a user experience designer, and he said that some of his buddies gave him some advice regarding dating and relationships. And then I asked him, how many people would you, oh, come on, just walk by, all good, man. I'm just going to continue here. How many people would you actually ask, or how many people's advice would you actually take serious when it comes to user experience or user design? Very few. Would you ask your friends for advice when it comes to your profession, your expertise? And he laughed and he smiled and said, that's a good point. And the thing was over. Now, obviously, you'd never ask somebody for advice regarding user experience or user design just because they own a phone, okay? He has an Android phone, he has an iPhone, I believe, because he has to check what the apps look like on different phones. I'm not sure, I don't know the technicalities either. Not my area of expertise. But why the hell would you ever ask for somebody's opinion regarding your own expertise if you clearly know they have none? Right? Just because somebody has a phone, in other words, just because somebody's had a relationship or two or a couple of dates, does not at all mean they have an expertise in that area. That does not at all mean you should be taking their advice serious whatsoever. People have a very narrow expertise. I could not be talking to you about sailing. I've sailed a couple of times, but I'm not an expert. I couldn't tell you anything about trains, cameras, even though I'm using them. Not my area of expertise. So just because people try to give you advice, that doesn't mean you should be taking it serious. But that also doesn't mean that they're bad people. They're just trying to meet their own needs. They're just trying to keep you as a friend, maybe even protect you. Most of the time, your friends are really good friends. Sometimes you should get rid of some of those friends. But most of the time, when they're giving you some advice, even if it's negative advice, even if it's bad advice, it's still coming from a good place of either wanting to keep you or wanting to protect you. So don't get negative towards your friends just because you realize that their advice may not be applicable. But the first and most important thing that I'd like you to take away from this is their advice regarding dating and relationships is simply not applicable. Just because somebody's had a date or two does not mean you should be taking their advice serious. Next one, online relationships are doomed to fail. In other words, relationships that come from online dating are doomed to fail. Because, I don't even know why, but a lot of men or a lot of women as well tend to think that if I meet somebody online, then something must have gone wrong in the screening or in the evaluation process, and it's just not going to work out. Again, there's some statistics, and I don't know how conclusive these studies are or these statistics are, but there tends to be no difference. And I can tell you from experience, this being my area of expertise, having done this for years and years, having helped men from so many different countries get more dates, get better dates, find true and amazing and long-term relationships, life partners, it's just not the case. There's no difference. It doesn't matter. Let's take marketing lingo, for example. It doesn't matter where the customer comes from, through TikTok, through YouTube, through whatever, as long as he comes. Doesn't matter if you meet people in real life, right? If you're a business owner, for example, then it doesn't matter where your customer comes from, right? Where the lead comes from, so to speak. As long as he comes and as long as you have a good communication process, it's all going to be fine. So you should be drawing from as many sources as possible. There's no difference, okay? Now, obviously, you do have to qualify. You don't just want to be jumping into a relationship straight away just because you met a woman off online dating and she's kind of into you. No, you still have to have your criteria because, again, this is about having you be happy in 5 years, 10 years, 15, maybe even 20 years. Maybe you don't want to settle down right now, but even if you just want friends with benefits relationships, then you'd still rather have those with women that you actually enjoy the time with, where it's not just about sex. So you do have to learn to screen, you do have to learn to qualify, you do have to learn to communicate your personality authentically and effectively. But I can tell you from experience, just because you meet somebody from online, that does not at all mean that the relationship is doomed to fail. Another excuse, be gone. Next one. Matchmaking algorithms are better than searching on your own. Now, I don't want to talk bad about matchmakers in general, because again, not about the people. I think the people are trying to do beautiful work, and sometimes it really works and really makes sense. But I think the process of finding someone, meeting someone either from online or from real life, which is definitely a valuable method, a valuable alternative as well, makes you into a different person. Because let's say I've had people who, before they signed up for my coaching program, they've gone through matchmaking things and it just didn't work out. Well, what a surprise. If you pay somebody a couple of €1,000, 3 to 5 to 6 to 7,000 euros to get you, I don't know, set up with 10 dates over the course of a year. Well, first of all, they don't teach you how to communicate your personality authentically and effectively. That's one thing. Second of all, if you haven't selected them yourself, okay, if you let a computer do the work, the probability that you're actually going to be right for each other is much lower. And what do you do then? Okay, what do you do after those 10, I don't know, after those 10 dates? Are you going to pay another 5, 6, 7, 10K to get another 10 dates? Or would you not rather develop the ability yourself to be able to get as many dates as possible until forever? Okay, it's a learnable skill. You can learn that because then you're independent at some point. Every good coaching program, right, should be making you independent after months or sometimes years. But the whole years is a bit too long, I'd say. Like if you're in a coaching program, depending on what it is, if you're in a dating coaching program for more than a year and a half or 2 years, then something has gone seriously wrong. Sometimes it does take that long. Sometimes it takes only a couple of months or a couple of weeks. It really depends on where the person it is. But the ultimate goal is always to make you independent. It's never supposed to get you attached to the coach or the mentor. Now, if you're doing business coaching or fitness coaching, any kind of coaching should kind of lead you into independence at some point. Now, there are arguments for accountability and all those sorts, but you should become a man who can stand on his own 2 feet. You should be able to learn how to get the most amount of matches, how to text effectively, and then to be able to have that abundance in your life forever, or that relationship. Now, it would make sense at some point if there's some, I don't know, arguments in the relationship to maybe visit a relationship coach or a couples coach, couples therapy. I don't do that, but that might make sense. But then again, if you're in a relationship with somebody with whom you have a super high degree of compatibility because she likes the kind of shows you like, she's Christian and you're a Christian, or she doesn't like religion at all and you don't like religion at all, you're politically left, she's politically left, you know, whatever it is, but your core values, your core beliefs, they match. If that's the case, the probability that you're going to have arguments is going to decrease drastically. Here's the train again. Online dating has killed commitment. Well, is that really So, no, it's not. Just because you have enough money to buy a lot of chocolate, that doesn't mean automatically that you're going to be eating all that chocolate. Just because you have a lot of options available, that does not at all mean that when you're in a committed relationship, that you're not going to be able to commit, to stick with that one woman. Now, obviously, you will be going through a phase of exploring, enjoying different options. Yeah, sorry to say that some short-term encounters are going to be part of the process of finding the right girlfriend or life partner before you decide to settle down. But saying that having options destroys commitment, it's just a non sequitur. That doesn't follow. Next one, women don't care about your career when swiping. That's absolutely not true. I can tell you from personal experience, I've had a client, or rather professional experience, I've had a client, he was, or he still is, a medical doctor in Ireland, and he wasn't getting a lot of matches from online dating apps. He wasn't getting a lot of dates from it, rather. So what we did is we changed a couple of pictures, one or two really, and then we put his job title, medical doctor, into the profile description. Actually, we did that first, and then we changed the pictures to see which would have a greater effect, and he got a tremendous amount of dates. When I mean a tremendous amount, he went from 1 or 2 dates every 2 months to 1 to 2 dates a week. Can you see how substantial that is? Like, we basically, I don't know, 5x'd his options, or I don't know, whatever it was. So putting your job title into the profile description makes a big difference. But please, I don't want you to be nihilistic now and think that women only care about money. Yeah, you may be making a lot of money in your job or your business. That's not why the woman wants to be together with you, but it's about the kind of person you have to be. Believe me, women have experience when it comes to dealing with people, and she knows that there's different types of people in the world. There are some people in the world that you just don't want to hang out with. People that you might actually despise. Let's be honest here, that you hate. Maybe not. Maybe you're a kind, loving, compassionate person, but even if that's the case, let's admit it, there's some people who have certain character traits, certain values, right, that you just dislike. And women know that people who are more successful in their jobs tend to be more socially calibrated, they tend to be more hardworking. Okay, they have a lot of other values in common with them. Now, some people, some women might not vibe with that, but it is not about the money. It's about the kind of person you are, the kind of man you have to be, disciplined, having your shit together. That's what it is. Women don't want a guy who doesn't have his shit together. That's kind of all it is, you know. Therefore, if you have a good job, you're a computer scientist, mechanical engineer, user interface designer, user experience designer, you have your own business, put it into the description. Makes a big difference. Last one, texting is boring and it just doesn't feel authentic to me. Well, let me tell you, texting can be boring. Texting doesn't have to be fun. This idea that texting has to be fun is absolute nonsense. Texting also doesn't have to feel authentic. How authentic can it possibly be to try to compress your soul into letters on a screen? It's impossible. Texting can be boring. Texting doesn't have to be authentic. You shouldn't be lying, you shouldn't be manipulating, you should always be honest. But texting can be boring. Texting can feel like a routine. But the spark, the true magic happens when you're on the date. And if you want to learn how to text effectively, because just getting dates is not enough, just getting matches is not enough, sorry. You have to know how to convert them into dates if you want to learn how to text effectively to actually get more dates. And then if you want to learn how you can keep those women in your life, keep them interested in you so that they're not going to ghost you, flake you, don't want to meet you again for a second date, then apply for a first free coaching call with a link underneath or above this video. During that call, we'll create a step-by-step plan based on your situation, based on your skills, based on your individual blind spots, challenges, based on what you want to achieve, and will help you get more dates, get better dates, and find the right girlfriend or life partner. I'm looking forward to speaking with you.